the other thing that popped up yesterday,
Uh-oh.
Greg Bedard was on 98.5, the Sports Hub in Boston, and it was one of those things where there's a difference between what you'll say extemporaneously in a radio interview and what you'll write. I went to bostonsportsjournal.com, and it's behind a paywall, but I from what I could tell, he has no story up that was obvious on this.
Right.
But he did say that the rumor mill at the Senior Bowl is that if things hadn't worked out for Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia, and we know that postseason meeting with ownership can be very critical. It brought down Doug Peterson, had their postseason meeting 3 years ago. They reached an impasse over what they were going to do with the coordinators, and out was Doug Peterson. If Sirianni had been out, they were interested in Bill Belichick. And Belichick now hovers over whatever happens with the Eagles in 2024. So you got the Cowboys and you got the Eagles, who we both thought would be in play potentially for Belichick.
Yeah.
They stay with who they have.
Right.
But now, if he doesn't take a head coaching job, and there's only 2 currently available, he's going to hover over both teams in 2024, Chris.
Yeah, I expect that. I mean, the Eagles, I think the Eagles organization, you talk to anybody that knows them, around them, the coaching was the problem this year, period. That's what they believe. They believe if they were coached better, that they would have been better, period. That's the thought. So I understand that. It's a big year for Nick Sirianni. He's going to have a lot of pressure on him. Now, some of that coaching I don't think was totally his fault. We've kind of discussed the coordinator stuff and all that. The offensive side of the ball, though, Nick Sirianni, he's an offensive coach. That's him. That's his department. There is reason to blame him there. But he's done good things, and I think it was the right thing for them to stay the course with Nick Sirianni. There's no doubt about that. We saw that locker room. I mean, everybody really gave a glowing endorsement of Nick Sirianni. They love him. They can't fake it.
Well, not
good.
everybody.
Not everybody. Jalen Hurts was maybe the weakest one of all. Right. We talked about that last week. You're right. But to your point, Belichick, Vrabel are going to hover over everybody next year, and especially situations like this where they go, wait, this ain't a rebuild. We're ready. We just need a coach in here that can give us the right X's and O's, and we'll go to the Super Bowl. And that's where Vrabel and Belichick are going to be at the front of the line for teams that feel like they're ready, but they didn't reach their expectations next year during the regular season.
So we already got 4 head coaches hired next year.
Boom.
Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, and Bobby Slowick. 2 guys.
We figured it out.
At one end of the spectrum, 2 guys at the other end of the spectrum, and it comes down to what you're looking for organizationally. And this really is important. This is one of the reasons why Bill Belichick didn't get a job this cycle. You have to be prepared as an owner of the team to throw him the keys to the car and let him drive it wherever he wants, even if it means him coming in with a list of all the people he wants you to fire or reassign on day one.
Right.
Because I don't know who this person is. I don't trust him. I've never heard him. And I heard something. No, I don't want this one. I don't want this one. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. Here's what I want. And you got to be ready to do it. And there's no guarantee anybody's going to be ready to do it next year. And the question is, will he not be that way? I think in Atlanta, he wanted to be that way. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't get the job. Because it was going to create an issue with Rich McKay and others in the front office. To go to Dallas, he better be willing to accept whatever they do. And I think he would. He's praised repeatedly Stephen and Jerry Jones for what they've done.
Right.
Like I said, you don't need to go shop for the groceries to make a great meal if they already have a kitchen stocked better than you ever stocked the Patriots in New England, but for falling into Tom Brady with the 199th pick in the draft. So that's the how much do the 2 guys who are perceived to be wanting control, how much are they going to soften between now and next year? That's the real question.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And those are 2 situations where, Belichick might have enough, like you're talking about, trust in the process. Those 2 organizations where, you're talking about have enough pelts on the horse to go, wait, I'll let Jerry continue to pick the groceries a little bit. I'll let Howie continue to do that. They got to figure it out. I certainly can't argue with that. That could be 2 situations there where, I could certainly see him, bowing to that type of scenario.
but he's truly got to be all in.
Yep.
Peter King and I talked about this on Friday. One of my first lessons in NFL organizational dysfunction happened 20-plus years ago, and I think it involved the Jets when the GM brings somebody in, so either spends the money or devotes a significant draft pick, and the head coach just puts the guy at the end of the bench. Never plays him, never develops him, didn't want him there.
Right.
So that's how a guy who doesn't have control can still exercise control. And if you are a big personality coach and you run the room and the GM gives you somebody you don't want, that person just ends up being a pawn in the broader power play. You need to be confident that's not going to happen because that's not going to be good for anybody if that's what plays out. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.